Okay, hopefully you saw what I was doing there. Oh, no. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that TV175 engine build video. If you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you do so. But let me show you guys what I've done so far off camera. Alright guys, you can see I've got the frame completely stripped. All the wiring, cables removed. The headset is taken apart. The front end's taken apart. I have the engine mounted back on the frame. Torques back on these guys are 50 foot-pounds. The engine bolt and also the nuts back here for the shock. As you can see, I have the glove box removed, fuel tank removed. Reason being is that I was going to install one of those oil tech tanks, but when I went to order the one, they said they no longer ship to the US. I'm assuming it's because of the tariffs. It's a pretty tough time to be building bikes. People that manufacture these parts are always overseas, and a lot of them have chosen not to ship anything to us anymore. So thankfully, I ordered a lot of these parts years ago, so I have most of everything to do to finish this bike. So for the gas tank, I actually had to settle for the BGM version. It's an extended tank, but it's all plastic, so obviously not as nice as the oil tech one, but it is what it is. We gotta keep moving with this thing. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and start with the front end. All right, guys, so as far as the front end, I have it all taken apart. Reason being is because I'm going to take apart the forks to recondition everything and put it all back together. I figure I'd do that since I'm pretty much rebuilding this entire bike. I don't want to skimp on this part, and plus, if you see how dirty it is in there, it's probably never been taken apart before. So yeah, we're gonna take everything apart, make sure everything's good, put it back together. So on the front hub, on say a TV or an LI bike, the special thing about the TV bikes is that there is an internal disc on the front hub rather than a drum. Okay, so I mean, braking is a little better than say a drum brake, but it's not much better. It's still pretty bad, so we're going to be upgrading to this. So what I have here is an external disc brake with a hydraulic caliper. Came with a switch housing, also a master cylinder, and the hydraulic line. Okay, so Pat over at Saigon Scooter Center was running a sale on these things. I think they were like $250, $275 a kit. The only thing is the shipping is really expensive, so I ended up ordering 4 kits. So at the end of the day, I think I paid like $350 a kit, maybe a little less than that, which is a pretty good deal for an entire disc brake setup. So if you guys want to see what that looks like, I have one on my Performer over here. All right, as you can see, I have the same setup on my Performer. The only difference is that the Performer didn't come with a front disc brake like the TV does, so the linkage setup is a little different. So you just have to make sure you specify to Pat that the bike it's going on, because this bracket here I think is different for a an LI series bike and the TV. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I have this on my Performer here. Came with the switch housing, master cylinder. Everything is actually really nice. It all went on pretty easily, and the bike actually stops now, so that's exactly what I wanted. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and start taking apart that front end. All right, so to disassemble the forks, you need a special tool which will compress that spring in there to take the pressure off the actual fork link right here. So that's this guy right here. It kind of goes like this, and this over here clamps around the actual fork tube, and then you tighten the little nut here, and it actually compresses the spring. So if your forks are nicely painted or powder coated like I have it here, make sure you put some tape around here. So we go ahead and get this all set up, and then we'll go ahead and compress the spring. Okay, pressure's off the fork link. I'll go ahead and undo this nut up here, and then we can drop the fork link out of there. Okay, just like that. What do you call it? Yeah, it's a lot of just crud caked up in there, so that's why it's stuck. I'm gonna take all the rest of it apart, and then we're gonna clean everything up and reassemble. That's how it comes apart. This one looks like it's okay, just really old and dirty. So I'm gonna clean it up. But before I do that, I'm gonna disassemble the other side as well. So everything all cleaned up. This is pretty much all the front end parts. 2 fork links, the little caps that go over the ends here, like that. All this stuff is cleaned up. These are the top hats for these spring bars, I guess, what these are. Usually the spring goes around these guys, and then this whole assembly goes up into the fork tube. So, yeah, as you can see, I did get new springs. I'm not sure if the old ones are worn out, but these were cheap enough. I just picked them up. So next thing I'm gonna do is replace these bushings here in the fork links. Okay, I have new ones here, the plastic and the metal, and there's a special tool you can use to do that. It's right here. Honestly, I've been collecting tools for Lambrettas for probably 2 or 3 years now. Whenever I see one pop up in stock, I just grab it. I didn't know what this was for until I went to do this. So yeah, thankfully I have it, but I don't think I really need it. Could use something else, but yeah, if you're gonna grab tools from overseas, might as well throw this in the cart. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the bushings in these guys, and after that, we'll go ahead and reassemble the front end. All right. Oh, that one already came out, so yeah, it doesn't catch the outside bushing though. Yeah, like I said, I don't think you really need this tool because it doesn't do both. Unless, nope. Yeah, it's just that center bushing. Maybe it's for the different versions or whatever. I know there's some brass ones that they use. So, yeah, all right. At least I have the tool, but I gotta find a socket to knock that other plastic bushing out. Okay. Well, I got one in with no problems, but this one is giving me problems, so I may have to sand it down just a tad. It's not going in there. All right, finally got the bushing into the fork link here. I'm guessing one's smaller than the other one, so that's why I was having so much trouble with it. Again, this is probably not precision stuff, so yeah, it's done, so we're good to go. So as you can see, I have everything all cleaned up, ready to go back into the forks, but before I do that, I need to install these new rubber bumpers. Okay, so there's 2 different ones. One's bigger than the other. I believe the bigger one goes on the top of the fork. So let's go ahead and get that stuff mounted. All right, like I said, I got the fatter one going on the top. Okay, so it's just simple 2 M6 nuts with 2 lock washers. So I'll go ahead and get all this stuff bolted up, and we'll finish up the front end. Okay, I got all 4 rubber bumpers installed in the fork. Okay, top and bottom, of course. Now we're going to go ahead and get those springs installed in those spring rod thingies, and then we'll get those installed into the forks. All right, so yeah, have everything all cleaned up. I do have these little spring rod things here with new springs. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this little guy here. So you know, want to put grease all in this rod here, and then slip a spring over it. All right, like that. New spring, and then the top hat goes here like that. Okay, you don't want to put grease all on the outside of this because this thing actually rubs the sides of the fork tube. So all right, going back in the fork tubes, I have the top cap on. We're just gonna slide these back into the fork tubes from the bottom up. Okay, you You want your compressor back on there. That. Let me get this all set up and compressed, and then we can install the fork links. All right, I have the spring compressed fully into the fork. We'll go ahead and throw the fork links in there now. Yep, perfect. Put the bolt back on with the fitting on the end here. All right, that's one. I'm just gonna snug that up, and that should be it. All right, looks like the ball is in the cup of the fork link, so it should be good to go. I'll go ahead and do it on the other side. All right, guys, I have everything all reassembled. Fork links, new springs, all the grease fittings. Of course, I did clean everything up, so everything's all dry. So I need to go ahead and shoot some grease in these grease fittings to make sure everything's all lubricated. So let's start with this bottom cup here. Let's see how it looks. Oh, there you go, that's good. So I'll do the same thing to all the other grease fittings, and then this part's done. Okay, now it's on to the disc front end setup. Of course, this thing is ready to go from Saigon Scooter Center. The only thing is that I'm using tubeless wheels on this bike. So when you do that, you need to make sure the caliper clears the wheel. Okay, I believe Pat at Saigon Scooter Center already started modifying this guy a little bit, but it wasn't enough for this wheel. So whenever I had it bolted into the wheel, see how close that is right there to the lip of the wheel. I actually had to grind it down just a little more, and now it actually clears. So yeah, make sure you look at all that when if you decide to use these tubeless wheels. Okay, the other thing is that tubeless wheels come with longer studs. Okay, so you have to replace the original studs with these. These guys are actually reverse thread. All right, so righty loosey, lefty tighty. Okay, so yeah, these are longer, so you can use these encapsulated nuts to mount the wheel. All right, so let's get the wheel bolted up to the hub, and then we get the hub hung onto the forks. All right, got the wheel snugged onto the hub just temporarily. I'll get this thing all mounted up before I torque everything down properly. All right, so you see I have the front end bolted back onto the forks. I have brand new hardware, well, almost brand new hardware. This one I had to reuse. Torque spec on these guys is supposed to be 55 Newton meters. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and torque those down. Okay, 55 Newton meters. All three nuts, 1, 2, and 3 on the other side. So front end is good to go. All right, so I went ahead and torqued down the front wheel already. The torque spec on these nuts are going to be 25 Newton meters. The SIP tubeless wheels. So crank this guy down real quick. I haven't tightened the hub yet because I need a brake cable hooked up to do that, because I believe it's like 120 foot-pounds. So all right, that's good to go. Now we actually have a roller. Okay, so of course we need to install the new master cylinder as well. We need to take this apart. It's pretty simple. Just remove this throttle cable rotor, and then the entire throttle assembly just slides right out. Okay, 2 screws here, and then this little switch housing will come off, and then we're gonna go ahead and install the new one that has a master cylinder built in. All right, I got 2 screws removed. Over here is a couple of washers. We remove these guys here, and this should slide off, but might be a little stuck. There you go. All right, easy enough. Okay, so I have the master cylinder bolted onto the headset with 2 new countersunk flathead screws here. So that's nice and solid. Over here, I have the headset top back onto the headset because I needed to see where I was going to cut the lower part of the headset for this brake line to run. So on my Performer over there, I did kind of drill a hole between the 2 pieces, I really don't like the way it looks because it was a pretty big hole and the grommet didn't really fit on there correctly. So I'm not going to do that on this bike. I'm just going to notch the bottom enough so that the hose will pass through. Okay. And of course the hose itself is ran through the headset already. It's ran through that little opening right there. I did have to take the headset apart to do it. It's just these two M6 bolts and then this big bolt here, and then that piece comes off and the headset kind of separates so you can actually feed the hose through. Okay, so it's running down this side of the frame down here, and then it's wrapped around over here away from this little metal disc out this way, and then the pre-installed grommet that was on the line, I put it into this factory cable holder here. And it's wrapped around the back and then hooked up to the caliper down there, so you can get an idea how it's supposed to be ran. Well, I don't know if it's supposed to be ran that way, but that's how I do it because it's nice and out of the way of everything, especially when you go and turn the bike. So yeah, let me go ahead and notch this thing right here, and hopefully the line will look okay once I'm done. All right, so I got the notch cut into the bottom of the headset here. I did round off all the sharp edges so it wouldn't cut the line, but now I'm fitting the headlight in there and make sure the hose will clear, and it looks like it does, so we should be okay there. Yeah, I guess this is all right. Let me grab the headset top and see what it looks like. All right, so I have the headset top placed onto the bottom, obviously, and looks pretty good. A lot better than the way I did it on the Performer, for sure. So I'm happy about that. Okay, so I've shown how to bleed brakes on the channel before. I have my vacuum bleeder right here. I have the nipple cracked on the caliper. Okay, and of course the line's all tightened up, hooked up to the master cylinder and also the caliper. So the next step is to fill the master cylinder with fluid. I'm gonna turn the vacuum on, and it's gonna suck all the air out of the line. And then as soon as I see a nice steady flow of brake fluid, I'm gonna close this valve. After that, it should be bled. Okay, so hopefully you guys are following along, but it's not too difficult. The whole object of the game is just to remove all the air from the lines and replace it with fluid, and after that it'll work. Okay, hopefully you saw what I was doing there. Oh no. Let me put the cap on this thing before I squeeze the lever. It just shot brake fluid all over the place. Luckily I don't have any body work on this bike, otherwise I'd have to rush to clean it up because brake fluid is very, very corrosive. Okay, so I'm going to top up the cylinder again, and then we'll try again. Okay, I went ahead and filled the reservoir back up with brake fluid, have the cap on. I went ahead and pumped it a couple times. It seems that I have really good brake pressure now. Down here, I noticed that, of course, at the beginning of the video, I went ahead and ground down the caliper a little more because I thought it wasn't going to clear my tubeless wheels. But actually, when I bled the brakes and everything was good to go, the caliper compressed a little bit and moved further away from the wheel. So I don't think you have to modify this caliper anymore if you were to buy this kit. But of course, this is my first time doing it with tubeless wheels, and I didn't know, so I did more work than I really had to. But the other thing I really noticed is that since this is a disc brake fork link, it's a little different. It has an extra pin right here. Okay, that pin that's attached to this bracket had a little step on it. So once I tightened everything down, it kind of cocked the bracket over a little bit, and then the caliper itself was no longer centered on the brake rotor. So I had to remove that pin, or remove the step, and then bolt all that back together, and now it's actually nice and even. Okay, so yeah, things to keep in mind. But then again, Pat at Scooter Center has decided not to sell us anything here in the States anymore because I think shipping costs have gone through the roof. It sucks. Hopefully it changes in the future, but right now, yeah, he's said no to shipping anything over here. But I believe you can still get this kit through SIP, so you may want to check that out if you are interested in it. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all next time.